Hi everybody, this is Em from DIYM. Today, I don't know if you've noticed, I have a bit of a cold, so I tried to get as well as I can, but I've had 2 colds this winter and I'm doing this way in advance. But yeah, I wanted to do a really cool video after I did my Mother's Day video, as you probably saw last week. So yeah, I wanted to make a slimline envelope to match the slimline card that I have. I feel like it's a little bit different than the last video that I did when it comes to envelopes, because those envelopes are a lot more for square and rectangle envelopes, and maybe even an odd shape like a circle or whatever, you can stick that in there. But when it comes to slimline cards, I think it's a little bit harder to do that. So I'm going to be doing an envelope that's a little bit different. I noticed that a regular 8.5 by 11 piece of paper doesn't really cut it when you fold in the sides for a card like this. This is a pretty large card. I'm gonna just tell you the dimensions of this card because this is a little bit bigger than an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So this card is, and I always work in inches, so it's about 8.5 lengthwise by maybe a little bit under 4 inches width. So what I'm gonna do is, because as I said, 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper does not work, I'm gonna get this 12 by 12 pastel hue cardstock for this. So I'll do yellow. I did a cream color one, but I think the yellow might be kind of fun and cheery. So this might be a little bit harder to measure, I think, but try to, if you can, try to measure about, for this, I'm going to measure about 2.5 inches out this way. So on both sides, I want to have at least 2.5 inch overlap to overlap between this card, because it's about 4 inches this way, and I want things to overlap a little bit, so I'm giving it about an inch more. Does that make sense? Okay. If you want to, you can draw something or whatever, but I'm just basically eyeballing it around there. So I'm just going to try to bend it as best as you can along here. And I've got a bone folder, and you can use a ruler too if you'd like, or your nail or something along those lines. But I'm just going to use this bone folder here just to give the crease a little bit more of a crispness to it. Okay, and then on this side, I'm going to do a similar thing. Just be kind of slow and careful with it, and try to see if I can line up the bottom part here. So we've got that. And so from out about here, I want to do about 2.5 inches right there, around there. So I'm going to get my trusty trimmer. So this is 3 inches. So right in here, that's about 2.5 inches. So I'm just going to line up the crease there. Sorry, it's hard to see. Okay, something along those lines, right? Okay, so, and then I'm just going to cut that down. I'm just going to put that aside for a second. I just want to make sure that this fits okay. Looks pretty good. What is this here? Get out of here, you. So now, I want to make sure that I have a bit of a flap happening down here at the bottom, and then a bit of a flap, quite a bit of a flap actually at the top. So let's see, I'm going to do about inch-wise, maybe an inch from the bottom. You can do a little bit bigger or smaller. And then I'm going to do 2 inches at the top, around there. I'm just going to get a pencil real quick. Do that. Oh yeah, but first of all, okay. So I'm just going to take that and then crease along here. And again, I'm just going to take my bone folder. Okay. And then I'm going to be very careful. And then crease along here. Okay. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to follow the crease with my scissors, because you don't really need major special equipment. I'm not going to follow the line precisely. I'm just going to miter take in the line here, but I'm going to go straight across here this way. Maybe a little bit in, just slightly, but not too much. Just a tiny, tiny bit. Okay, just so that when I fold it, there's not a lot of bunching in the corner. Does that make sense? Okay, that's the bottom. And then I might, really quickly, just take off this before I cut this down. I wanted quite the flap here, so I want to make sure that it's level. Okay, let's make that level and make sure that that cuts off nicely. Perfect. Just wanted it to look nicer. Okay. And then I'm going to do, again, I'm going to do slight, not following the line completely, just a little bit outside the fold, slightly. And then the same thing with this, just like that. Okay. And the same thing on this side, slightly outside the fold, technically inside the fold, and then slightly outside the fold on the long way. Okay. And if you'd like to, you could always round the edges. You can do it with your scissors as well, but you know me, I like to get corner rounders. something like that. This is our 10 millimeter. Okay, I'm just gonna do that on all of these guys. And again, you don't have to do this. You can always do this with scissors if you want to round things, or you can even just leave it the way it is. I just like to have that. I'm gonna clear my toenail clippings here, as I like to call it. And look at that. That looks beautiful. That fits very nicely in there. Now, there's a couple things you could do here. Get some double-sided tape, but my double-sided tape kind of comes undone really easily. It's not exactly my favorite right now. I need to get a better brand. So what I've been using lately is the Barely Arts glue. So the nice thing about Barely Arts glue that I just found out recently, which makes a lot of sense to me, is apparently this glue, it's got not so much water in it like some white glues have. There's a lot of white glues out there that have a ton of water in it, and then when you apply it to paper, it almost wrinkles the paper, right? It happens sometimes with Mod Podge and all that sort of stuff. The Barely Arts glue doesn't have as much water in it, so it sticks really well. It's a nice adhesive, but it also doesn't really ripple the paper unless there's a lot of it on. But even then, I find it's pretty good normally. So I'm just going to put some on and put it down on this side. You can hold it there for a moment, and then put some on here, just a little bit on the edge here, and then I'm just gonna put some down right here. And then I'm just going to make sure that that's all nice and down there. If you want to, you can clip off a little bit more here. But anyways, it's pretty easy, as you can see, to make one of these. And I'm just going to slip this in. Hopefully the glue has dried quite a bit. Just want to see if it fits in nicely. It looks like it. Okay. And I'm just going to put this back in so that the glue doesn't dry. Just going to make sure that the pathway is clear, and then put that away. So that's pretty much that to make a slimline envelope. And I'm sure you could do it other ways where it opens up from this way. It's kind of a similar way, I guess, but instead you leave this flap open and you might have this flap come up a little bit more just so that it can slip in a little bit easier. Does that make sense? But I kind of like the fact that you can open it up this way. So what I'm going to do also, I've got the 1.5 inch circle punch. You can get bigger, you can get smaller, whatever. Sometimes I've seen people do oval shapes, and I'm going to just, it's gonna be hard to see, but I'm going to try to open this up, put this in the middle, center from these two sides, center it a little bit, put it in the middle, kind of bring it down slightly, if that makes sense. Okay, and then when you think it's in a good spot, you just punch it. And there you go. Try not to go too far down, because then it's gonna be hard to adhere this closed. But yeah, there you have it. And then you can just, if you want to, you can tape it closed, or you can glue closed, whatever you'd like to do there. I'm just gonna trim up this a little bit because it's a little bit frayed here. That happens sometimes with my trimmer, but there you go. There's an envelope for your Slimline card. And it's easy, you don't really have to technically, if you want to, you could use a scoreboard. I just have this small scoreboard to use, which is where my bone folder came from. Right, so I basically have this. It's a little too small for working with cards like this. As you can see, it kind of comes off the edge here. If you have a bigger scoreboard, then it might be a little easier to work with, but I just have this small one. But again, you don't need a scoreboard in order to make an envelope like this. But yeah, so I just made this flap is a little small, so I just gave it more room, and I think that that's actually the better envelope. I'm going to probably use this more. The nice thing about the pastel 12x12, I'm going to link them down below, by the way, for you. But the nice thing about the 12x12 cardstock that I have is nice and light colors, so you can match your, or you don't even have to match things. This doesn't really have a lot of yellow in it. That's more gold than anything. But technically, if you wanted to, you could match your card with like a light color, and then you can just easily write on here the address of the person that you're sending this to. So I feel like this is really fun. You can also, if you want to glue it down or tape it down, you can also put like a seal here. If it's a very 3D seal, you'd have to ask your post office if it can go through the mail easily. If you just do a sticker seal, it might be a little bit easier to put down on there. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's really cute. Really easy to do. As I said, you don't really need a lot of equipment to make something like this. It's always good to just have 12x12 papers to do envelopes, so I find, because then you can do different sizes. Maybe not bigger. You can do all sorts of different sizes of decent sized cards. So if you don't have 12 by 12 papers in your stash, it's a really, really good idea to have them just so you can make cool envelopes like this. Anyways, this is a pretty quick tutorial on how to make this. It's really fast, really easy. Just a lot of folding and cutting, basically. You don't even need all the special things that I use. You can use a ruler because that helps sometimes. Probably have some scissors, and if you want a trimmer, trimmers help, but it's not fully necessary. You can always just get scissors for a lot of it. And yeah, that's pretty much that. And if you even want to make more of a curve, like a deeper curve or something, you can probably use, like if you want a more professional curve, you might want to use, I think there's envelope cutters that can make something like that out there. Or you can even use, I've been using this a lot lately, this alphabet punch board. You could probably put that in here and it would probably make a deeper curve, right? In this area here, just stick it in there and it'll make a deeper curve for you. So that's just an idea for you guys. Yeah, that's pretty much that, and I hope you guys all enjoy this quick tutorial making some really cool envelopes for Slimline cards. I think that this is a really, really helpful tutorial for making something like that. It's a little bit different than the other envelope video that I made. If you guys want to check out that video though, I will link that down below. I made that a little while ago. I've been meaning to make a Slimline envelope video for quite a while now, and now I finally got a chance to do it. So, as I said, hope you like that, and I hope you guys have an amazing Mother's Day, Father's Day, whatever you're celebrating, to make a card, birthday. You can make cards for almost anything. But yeah, I really hope that you enjoy making this for whatever special occasion you are making it for. Okay, I hope you guys have an amazing day. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye! Happy crafting!